Live from New Delhi, you're watching DD India Live, India's voice to the world. I'm Prasar Bharati. Coming up in the next 30 minutes. Chief Election Commissioner Rajiv Kumar highlights historic firsts of 2024 polls, says India created a world record of 642 million voters, terms it as historic moment for all. Exit polls of India's general election propels Indian stock market to record highs. Claudia Sheinbaum wins landslide victory to become Mexico's first female president in country's 200-year history. Russia warns United States of fatal consequences if it ignored Moscow's warnings to not let Ukraine strike targets on Russian soil. India's Election Commission has issued handbook to poll officials ahead of the counting of votes of recently held general elections. The counting of votes for the general election and the state legislative assemblies of Andhra Pradesh and Odisha and by-elections to assembly constituencies shall be held on June 4th starting 8 a.m. IST. India's Chief Election Commissioner Rajiv Kumar, along with the two election commissioners, had reviewed the counting day preparations with all chief electoral officers and returning officers. The counting trends and results as per data entered by ARO for assembly constituencies and parliamentary constituencies will be available on the ECI website as well as on the Voter Helpline app, both iOS and Android mobile apps. The Voter Helpline app can be downloaded from the Google Play Store or Apple Play Store. The poll body has also issued a handbook for returning officers and counting agents available on the ECI website. Chief Election Commissioner Rajiv Kumar highlights the historic firsts of 2024 polls. While briefing the media on counting day preparations, the CEC said that India has created a world record of 642 million voters who took part in the Great Indian Elections 2024. He termed this as a historic moment for all of us and for the nation as a whole.
We have created a world record of 642 million proud Indian voters. This is a historic moment for all of us, for the nation as a whole. 642 ever, anywhere in the world, in any of the electoral exercise. That's what is the number of voters. And this is, just to give you some small statistics, this is 1.5 times of the voters of all G7 countries. There are 312 million proud women voters. This is also the highest ever in the world. It is larger than the 2019 elections, both the total and the women voters.
The CEC also spoke of the incredible voter turnout reported from Jammu and Kashmir.
आप सब pictures देख चुके हैं. 58.58% overall turnout and in Valley 51.5. हमने जो आंखों में चमक है, जो भविष्य को लेके चमक है, जो डेमोक्रेसी में पार्टिसिपेशन को लेके चमक थी, जो क्राउड थी, जो भीड़ थी, उसमें हमने उसको देखा है.
He lauded the elders who took part in home voting as heroes.
होम वोटिंग में जिन लोगों ने हमारे साथ वोट दिया, ये हमारे लोकतंत्र के गणनायक हैं. आजादी से पहले का भारत इन्होंने देखा है और पिछले 70 सालों में इन्होंने देश की एक एक चीज में, तरक्की में और कार्य में भाग लिया है. इनको भी हम दिल से नमन करते हैं कि इतने दिल से इन्होंने हमारे इलेक्शंस में भाग लिया. और हमारा तजुर्बा ये कहता है कि जब हमने सबके घर में पर्ची बांटी कि आपको 12D भरना है, लेकिन मेजॉरिटी ने हमसे ये कहा कि हम बूथ पर आना चाहते हैं. We want to celebrate. We have been going to the booth. We want to go to the booth.
Meanwhile, India's Election Commission has provided central forces to prevent any post-poll violence based on assessment provided by the states and central observers. Andhra Pradesh and West Bengal have been provided with security forces for 15 days after counting days. Uttar Pradesh, Odisha, Sikkim, Arunachal Pradesh have been provided security forces till 2 days after counting day. Chinese daily tabloid The Global Times has covered the predictions of several exit polls by Indian media outlets. In an article, the publication says that if India can work together with China in the next term of the Prime Minister, it could pave the way for improvements in the relationship between the two countries. The article said, India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi is likely to win a third consecutive term in office. Chinese experts noted that Modi's overall domestic and foreign policies will maintain continuity. PM is expected to persist in his efforts to bolster the country's economic growth. Analysts emphasize the importance of India collaborating with China to uphold open communication to address differences in the bilateral relations. Modi will continue to focus on propelling the country toward becoming the world's third largest economy. Additionally, Modi's strategic approach includes enhancing India's global influence through diplomatic channels. Regarding China-India relations, the possibility of a strengthened confrontation between China and India unlikely if Modi wins. The Chinese side has been committed to actively enhancing relations with India, believing that maintaining stable bilateral relations are in the interests of both sides. It is imperative for India to uphold a strategic perspective toward India-China relations and collaborate with China to resolve differences through dialogue and communication. And the German Foreign Office has congratulated Indians for successfully conducting the world's largest democratic elections. It said that Germany is looking forward to working with India's new government and taking cooperation to the next level. In a post on X, the German Foreign Office stated, "Congratulations to the Indian people for successfully concluding the world's largest democratic elections. We are looking forward to working with India's new government and to taking our cooperation with India to the next level." All right, a Nigerian Minister of Foreign Affairs Yusuf Maitama Tugar on Sunday also congratulated the people of India and the External Affairs Minister S. Jaishankar for exemplifying their status as the world's bastion of democracy. In a post on X, Yusuf Maitama Tugar stated, "Congratulations to the people of India and Dr. S. Jaishankar for exemplifying their status as the world's bastion of democracy. This historic election, which lasted 44 days, was the largest ever in history, with more than 968 million eligible voters out of population of 1.4 billion. As the largest democracy in Africa, we join you in championing democracy, which is a key pillar of our 4Ds foreign policy agenda. Congratulations once again on a successful electoral season." Well, some market updates now. Exit polls of India's general election have propelled Indian stock market to record highs. On Monday, all 13 sectoral indices were in the green, while financial services, oil and gas and power sectors led the rally in Nifty. Sensex was up 2,507 points as it hit a fresh high of 76,468.78. Nifty hit an all-time high of 23,263.9. And news coming in from Pakistan. Pakistan's former Prime Minister Imran Khan on Monday was acquitted from a conviction on charges of leaking state secrets. Despite the acquittal, Khan will remain in prison due to a conviction in another case. The High Court in Pakistan also acquitted Khan's foreign minister Shah Mahmood Qureshi of the same charges. The former PM had been sentenced to 10 years in prison on charges of making public a classified cable sent to Islamabad by Pakistan's ambassador in Washington in 2022. All right. Claudia Sheinbaum won a landslide victory to become Mexico's first female president, inheriting the project of her mentor and outgoing leader, Andrés Manuel López Obrador, whose popularity among the poor helped drive her triumph. Sheinbaum, a climate scientist and former mayor of Mexico City, won the presidency with between 58.3% and 60.7% of the vote, according to a rapid sample count by Mexico's electoral authority. That is said to be the highest vote tally percentage in Mexico's democratic history. Sheinbaum has promised to expand welfare programs, maintain austerity within the country, give autonomy to Bank of Mexico, and promote private investment. The victory for Sheinbaum is a major step for Mexico, a country known for its macho culture and home to the world's second biggest Roman Catholic population, which for years pushed more traditional values and roles for women. In the United States, former President Donald Trump said he would accept home confinement or jail time after his historic conviction by a New York jury last week, but that it would be tough for the public to accept. Trump is scheduled to be sentenced July 11, 4 days before Republicans gather to formally choose their presidential nominee to face Democratic President Joe Biden in November's election. He has vowed to appeal his conviction by the New York jury, which found him guilty of 34 felony counts over falsifying documents to cover up a payment to silence an adult star ahead of the 2016 election. Trump has used his conviction to step up his fundraising efforts. In an interview to a news channel, Republican presidential candidates said at a certain point there will be a breaking point, though Trump did not elaborate on what he thought might happen if that point is reached.
I saw one of my lawyers the other day on television saying, "Oh no, you don't want to do that to the president." I said, "You don't beg for anything. You just the way it is." I don't know that the public would stand it. I'm not sure the public would stand for it. I think it would be tough for the public to take. At a certain point, there's a breaking point.
All right, let's take a look at other stories making news around the world. Former Vice President of Iran, Ishaq Jahangiri, officially registered to enter the race for the upcoming presidential election. Jahangiri, who served as the Minister of Industries and Mines from 1997 to 2005 and has been a contentious figure in Iranian politics. British opposition leader Keir Starmer pledged on Monday to secure the country's armed forces and nuclear deterrent. Trying to reassure voters before an election, Starmer said that nation would be safe in the hands of a Labour government. Canada warned China against meddling in its elections during a rare meeting of the country's defense chiefs on the sidelines of Shangri-La Dialogue 2024 in Singapore. Canada's domestic spy agency said in April that China had interfered in the last two elections. Beijing has denied the allegations. Algeria is undertaking a comprehensive restoration project of its historical sites with aim to attract investors and tourists. Approximately 70 sites have been prepared and restoration plans are underway for 50 additional sites. However, despite these efforts, tackling infrastructure deficiencies remains a key challenge for tourism sector. All right, and still to come on DD India Live. U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken holds separate phone calls with Israeli Defense Minister and Israeli War Cabinet Minister. Residents of South Africa's Johannesburg expresses no surprise at election results announced on Sunday night.
Voice of a rising aspirational world. Stories of challenges, struggles and accomplishment. A world battling conflict, hunger and poverty. Embracing growth, development, science and technology. A voice of progress, a voice of unity. Watch Voice of the Global South with me, Akshay Dongre, only on DD India.
You're watching DD India Live. I'm Siddharth Bharadwaj. U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken held separate phone calls with Israeli Defense Minister Yoav Gallant and Israeli War Cabinet Minister Benny Gantz, who joined Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu in an emergency coalition to discuss a proposed ceasefire deal in Gaza. The calls came as an aide to Netanyahu said that Israel had accepted the deal that has been touted by President Joe Biden. In an interview, Ofer Falk, chief foreign policy advisor to Netanyahu, said that the plan was not a good deal, but Israel has accepted it. He added that Israel's conditions, including the release of the hostages and Hamas's destruction, have not changed. Last week, Biden presented Israel's three-phase plan to end the conflict. And a drone launched by Lebanon's Hezbollah fell in the Israeli coastal city of Nahariya, causing a fire but no injuries. Air raid sirens had sent the city's 75,000 residents running for shelter after a day of continuous rocket fire from Lebanon at northern Israel. The Israeli military said it had responded throughout the day by striking Hezbollah targets. Lebanon's caretaker Foreign Minister Abdallah Bo Habib met with Iran's acting Foreign Minister Ali Bagheri Khani during his first visit to Beirut on Monday. The Iranian minister reaffirmed the need for regional cooperation in support of Gaza. Israel's military has been carrying out what it says is a limited operation since early May in Rafah to root out Hamas fighters and dismantle infrastructure used by the Palestinian Islamist militant group. Israeli media said on Monday that an Israeli who disappeared during a Hamas-led attack in October has been found dead in his village. Dolev Yehod, a volunteer medic, was among those killed. His sister was also taken captive. 9 days after the attack, his wife gave birth to their fourth child. Dolev presumed to have been taken hostage during October 7 attack.
For us, it's one long day since October the 7th. And in this one long day, what keep us is the big hope and faith that they will come back to us healthy, and that's what keep us alive and keep us in focus.
And in South Africa, African National Congress lost its outright majority for the first time in 30 years after the final results were announced on Sunday. And President Cyril Ramaphosa called on his country's political parties to work together for the good of the country. The result is the worst election showing for the ANC. Africa's oldest liberation movement, once led by Nelson Mandela, ending white minority rule. Political parties now have 2 weeks to work out a deal before the new parliament sits to choose a president who would likely still hail from the ANC, since it remains the biggest force. Though on Sunday, Ramaphosa said that the election result was a victory for democracy. The residents of South Africa's Johannesburg expressed no surprise at the election results announced on Sunday night. While reacting to the election result, residents in Cape Town want South African politicians to keep their promises after elections.
Democracy is alive in South Africa. I think people have made their choice, people have made their voice heard, and it's good that we see like some sort of democracy in our country. Yeah. Like, and avoid all this dictatorship stuff that's been happening in other African countries as well. So I'm happy that we have some sort of democracy in the country.
I feel that the best thing now is that the best team won. Whoever is in charge, I feel, must do what is needed or what they promise the people. If they promise to provide their jobs and stuff like that, etc., please fulfill your promise.
All right, and DD India correspondent Jessica Taneja joins us on this from Newsroom. Jessica, a very good evening to you. ANC has lost its 30-year parliamentary majority, Jessica, in South Africa, winning over just 40% of national vote in May 29 election. What led to the decline of African National Congress? What's your assessment?
Well, there are a lot of reasons why we've seen the African National Congress perform so poorly this time around in the election. You'd recall the last time it had 57.5% of the vote, and For many predictions, it was expected that they would not get under 45%, but 40% is insufficient, and the ANC will not be able to, move forward with its agendas as mentioned in its manifesto this time around. Now, it does, of course, need to seek a coalition with partners, and that is going to be a tough arithmetic to crack. But for the moment, rising electricity prices, water shortages everywhere in South Africa, and not just the National Assembly elections. Look at the provincial elections. The African National Congress has also lost crucial 3 provinces it controlled, and including the one of KwaZulu, and it's lost its massive support in KwaZulu, which has now gone to the MK party led by his political rival Jacob Zuma. So a lot has not gone well for the ANC this time around in terms of its support, in terms of delivering a party that was once remembered for Nelson Mandela's great political struggle in ending apartheid in South Africa and becoming the first black president. It certainly did not go down well in history in the present time.
Indeed. Jessica, now what lies ahead in terms of the challenges? As South Africa's constitution says, the president needs to be elected within 14 days of the result declaration, and the country currently faces various crises.
Right, and if you look at how the options are placed in front of various parties in South Africa right now, you look at the Democratic Alliance, which has secured 22% of the vote, the second largest vote after the ANC, and then you have Jacob Zuma's MK party, which has around 14.7% of the vote, and then the EEF with 9%. So all the combinations that they're worked around would slightly be difficult in terms of accepting each other's policies. Say, for example, the ANC and the DA, the 2 parties that have secured a large number of votes. And there are talks, as you and I speak, between the 2 party leaders. The delegations of both the parties are speaking to each other to form a possible coalition and see what can be done. But they oppose each other's basic policies. For example, the ANC would want to go ahead with its black empowerment policy and its national health insurance bill, which is not acceptable for the DA. Because the DA is also against nationalizing coal mines, which the ANC has also promised in its manifesto. So there could be a lot of friction. But if you look at what the business leaders and the investors in South Africa currently would want for some kind of economic stability, so that at least the political climate stays all right, they seem to say that a coalition between the ANC and the DA is what would sort of provide some form of quasi-government of national unity that the country right now needs, because at this point it's a coalition chaos.
All right. Thank you so much for your analysis, Jessica. Russia's Deputy Foreign Minister Sergei Ryabkov on Monday said the United States could face fatal consequences if it ignored Moscow's warnings to not let Ukraine strike targets on Russian soil. Ryabkov's comment comes in response to US President Biden's decision last week to approve the use of US-supplied weapons to hit targets inside Russia that were involved in attacks on Ukraine's Kharkiv region. Ryabkov said attempts by Kyiv to attack Russian early warning radar systems would be thwarted, and Moscow may respond asymmetrically to such steps. And hundreds of farmers blocked the highway at the border of France and Spain on Monday. Demonstrators drove their tractors into the A7 highway and congested the border point. The protest is a follow-up on similar EU-wide protests earlier this year against what farmers say are unfair farming laws and unfair competition. The protest comes days ahead of the European Parliament elections scheduled to kick off on June 6th. And let's take a look at other stories making news. A fire broke out at a godown in Kalewadi area of Pimpri Chinchwad in Maharashtra's Pune on Monday. A thick plume of smoke were billowing from the godown into the air. The fire department personnel are present at the spot to douse the fire. A fire broke out in 2 coaches of Taj Express between Tughlakabad, Okhla in Delhi. A total of 6 fire tenders were rushed to the site. DCP Railway said that there is no injury or harm to any person. An encounter broke out between terrorists and security forces in Nihama area of Pulwama district on Monday morning. Police said bodies of 2 terrorists have been recovered in Pulwama's Nihama area. The 80th staff course commenced at the Defence Service Staff College in Wellington, Tamil Nadu on Monday. The course is designed to train mid-career officers from the Indian Army, Navy and Air Force to become proficient staff officers and future military leaders. An elephant rehabilitation center in southern India's Tiruchirappalli district installed foggers to keep the tuskers cool amid scorching heat. The district forest official said the elephant were being treated to 20 minutes of bathing daily and the foggers were installed to lower temperatures. That's all for this edition of DD India Live, but let us know your thoughts on the news of the day. For those on the go, you can get all the latest news and updates from India and across the world on the DD India mobile app. The app is available on both Android and iOS platforms. Scan the QR code on the screen to download now. We'll be back with more news as it breaks here on DD India. I'm Siddharth Bharadwaj from all of us here in Delhi. Thanks for watching DD India Live.